Switching gears now to weather with our chief meteorologist, Dan Cianca in the Weather Authority Center. Hey, Dan.
Hey there, Danya. Lots going on in the Weather Center here over the next couple of days as we track some higher surf, some gusty winds, and maybe chance of some light rain. Let's get into it. Here's a live look from Domenico's on the wharf tonight. We're tracking waves, wind, and fire, I suppose, as the fire danger does increase late in the week. But right now, it's kind of damp out there. We had some drizzle this morning. Might see a little bit again tomorrow morning. Hopefully, and after a couple of days, we'll have clearer skies, so you might be able to see the comet. This is another view from the Loma Prieta webcam tonight. You can see it out there. If you're away from the coast and up in higher elevation, you'd be able to see this any night about an hour after sunset or so. Just look off in the western sky. It should be pretty obvious to you, unlike the northern lights that are kind of hard to see sometimes. So take some time to get out there and take a look, because it's not going to be back for another 80,000 years. And unless some sort of medical breakthrough comes around, we probably won't be around for that. Anyway, here are our highs today. Parkfield was our hot spot, 85 degrees. Hollister in the 70s. Santa Cruz barely hit the 70s. And much of us along the coast stayed in the 60s today. It was kind of chilly out there. Monterey only 61. You should still be close to 70 this time of year for a high in Monterey. So definitely feeling the cool air today. 50s to low 60s around the bay right now. Not much different as we head into our inland valleys as well. But we do have some low clouds out there. They may make a little bit of fog and drizzle through the overnight hours. Temperatures will probably stay pretty steady in the mid 50s as we head through the overnight. Speaking of those clouds, they filled in around the bay and have pushed into the valley. Still fairly clear from Hollister up into the Santa Clara Valley, but you'll get some clouds eventually tonight as well. That's our marine layer at about 1,500 feet in depth. Now, the bigger picture shows an area of low pressure off to the east. That's not going to do much for our weather. As we zoom a little bit farther to the north, we have a pretty strong storm system in the Gulf of Alaska, just slowly moving eastward into Canada, but it's also spawning smaller scale systems around it. One of those is going to be passing by us on Wednesday, so we'll see what happens here as it gets a little bit closer to us. Notice not much associated with it as we head to Wednesday afternoon. We've been talking about this system for a week and trying not to make too big of a deal out of it, because all I've seen is maybes and possiblies, and we're still kind of in that territory. We might see a few sprinkles. That's what I have in the forecast, just a couple sprinkles as it passes by on Wednesday and a couple clouds. Beyond that, I think the bigger weather maker, and that is an area of cold air, strong area of low pressure dropping out of Rocky Mountain, Canada, or the western Canada, into, say, the northern inland Pacific Northwest. Now, by Friday, this is an area of low pressure sitting over the Great Basin, but what's happening with a strong ridge offshore, we have a pretty tight pressure gradient here. So think of a couple different things here. We've got a cold air mass, and that air mass is dense. So it kind of pools up in the Great Basin. The basin is kind of like a big bathtub, you know, there's no way in, no way out except over the edges, right? So the air in that basin actually does kind of spill through and over the Sierra Nevada. As it does so, it falls down the mountain range, it dries out, it warms up and heads toward the coast. We see this drying, warming action. The northerly flow along the coast will also continue. It'll be pretty gusty just due to that pressure gradient. So all these forces kind of aligning to bring us gusty winds late Thursday into Friday, and a drying force of the air. So the air is going to become very dry by the time we get to Friday and Saturday. The winds will start to die down by Saturday, but all of these combine into high fire danger for us. So we're going to be watching this pretty closely late in the week. Luckily, temperatures won't be hot. They'll be warm eventually, at least during the day, not at night. It's going to be cold at night because of how dry that air is. Beyond that, we do expect some warmer weather this weekend, but all eyes on that fire danger late in the week. In the meantime, future track overnight showing the low clouds again filling in around the bay and into the valleys. We're going to wake up maybe to some patchy fog and drizzle like we had this morning. Tomorrow afternoon should be pretty similar to today, except I think we'll see a little bit more sunshine around the bay than we had today. And of course, we were pretty sunny in Santa Cruz, but places like Monterey didn't really see the sun at all. You have a better chance of seeing at least a little bit tomorrow afternoon. And thus, temperatures will be a little bit warmer for most coastal areas. In fact, most areas warming up a few degrees tomorrow. Santa Cruz to 73, 68 in Capitola, 70s to low 80s in the Santa Cruz Mountains. And then on the east shore of the bay, still looking at some lower 60s in places like Castroville and Marina, but getting the upper 60s in Aptos and close to 70 in Watsonville. Even Salinas, a few degrees warmer tomorrow. 80 in Hollister, low 80s in the Santa Clara Valley. Monterey Peninsula, 61 in Monterey to 65 today, or tomorrow, I should say, a few degrees warmer. And then farther south away from the coast, we'll see 70s 80s, no 90s, mid 80s into our southern valleys. So for the 7-day forecast for coastal cities, notice we will see a few sprinkles potentially on Wednesday, but that's about it. Then the winds pick up out of the north and get a little stronger into Friday. Low temperatures get chilly as we head toward the weekend. High temperatures seasonable to slightly warm. We're going to notice those cold mornings. And again, the fire danger highest will be Thursday into Friday. They may last into Saturday. And again, that's for inland areas, but ultimately we still could see higher fire danger at the coast as well, even though you're not in that fire weather watch. Inland forecast for the next 7 days. Big temperature ups and downs. Obviously by Thursday, we're kind of chilly during the afternoon. And look at the lows Saturday and Sunday. I think we're going to see some frost in some inland valleys this weekend. Maybe not our big agricultural valleys, but certainly the higher valleys with this dry, cold air mass in place could be looking at some frost after being under a fire weather watch.
All right, thank you, Dan.